Us. Welcome to another virtual dojo class. When you can, please join us live and follow along with the drills. And if for whatever reason you got tied up or whatever, be aware that these are recorded, that you can also play them afterwards. Please give us feedback when you go online with the Facebook and you put your comments in. Let us know who you are. We want to make sure everybody's being involved and engaging, making comments. The more the better. So, and then just sign in. All right. So our focus today is to work with kumite. And this is for green and the 2 levels of purple. So this is actually all in one step or ippon kumite format. Even with that format, I always suggest for those intermediate belts is maybe just start off with a sanbon kumite, just as kind of warm. It's always good to do that. And you guys are all familiar with the sanbon kumite. So the idea, of course, is a 3-step drill. So the idea is obviously, and it's just jodan, chudan, and attacks. 1, 2, 3. And you can actually alternate them just to kind of give them some variance. You can do all jodan attacks. You could actually do jodan, chudan, jodan attacks. Now, here's another variance that you can work on. Just as a warm-up, you could do jodan, chudan, and because you guys are getting into the kick defense, you could do my-gear kick and defense. So obviously, if you are the defender from hachidachi position, always as a defender, so you're going to do the block jodan, chudan, and then with a my-gear kick, sweeping out. And I would suggest when you're doing the defense on the my-gear especially. So if the jodan chudan attacks with the hands, you can keep in a track like this. But I'll place you from this way. So let's say I'm the defender. So 1, 2. Again, make sure that outside block covers your body. Don't stop the block here. Make sure it rotates and covers the whole body. Now, the my-gear is going to come in. So from that standpoint, you want to be able to, because the right leg's going to come in, okay? Because their left leg's forward lined up with this leg. What you can do is just sweep from the inside. It's a temporary, almost like a foot adapt position, but it's really a front stance with a little bit of bent leg and then counter through. I always suggest with the kick defense, try to move a little bit on an angle if you can. Yes, you need to learn to go straight back, but because it's a longer technique, you do want to create a little more space and sometimes changing your angle a little bit on the defense. Now we could do it for kokomi as well, because we're going to work on all 4 attacks. So from here, you're going to be doing jodan, chudan. Now the kokomi is coming through. Here's what I would suggest, because that leg's going to come through this way. I don't want to move this way, because the kick actually spins towards me going that direction. So on the last one, I would suggest is to move your right leg through and rotate. Doing a forearm block is a very good blocking mechanism for kokomi. So basically, you're catching the leg this way. You want to continue the spin of the kick. My-gear, you can go just from laterally into the leg is totally fine. But with kokomi, if it's coming at you like this, you want to push that leg so it keeps continuing to spin this way. So, counters. Counters are really key from the standpoint of effective counter with kime, distance, speed, and power, but no contact, obviously, but you want to get close. So you really want to get some sharp movements. Because we're doing the 1-step is usually for you guys, I suggested the 3-step just as a warm-up. But as we progress, now we're going to work into our 1-step sparring. So we're going to call our attack jodan. So you're going to do your block and counter very quickly. So sharpness, strong blocks using that leg step back. And that retracting hand. And the hikiten is so important here. Because all this does is this sets up for proper counter. If you're lazy with your counters, right, and they're just kind of flopping around here, then your counters are going to be very sloppy. All right, so I want you to be very conscious of your kicks. From here, so they're coming in, joy and bus, always acknowledge. If you have a family member you can work with, great. If you have nobody to work with, and you're doing it like me and you have to work it on your own, totally fine. Work your defenses, work your attacks separately, okay? I always suggest if you've got a mirror to work with, at least now you've got a visual target, or if you've got a bag you can work with, just something visual you can work towards. All right, so coming in, block, counter. Then always stand back up, right? Ready to go. They step back. Now the second attack. Shoot at levels. You want to do outside block defense. Quick, sharp, rotating the hips. Make sure you rotate the hips. It's okay to have this back knee slightly bent. You do need a little bit of push off as you rotate and counter. I know we always talk about that back leg straight on the front stance, but in this case, it's okay to have the knee slightly bent. This gives a little bit of spring load into that leg and follows through with your counter. Then on the my-gear, coming through. It's coming in straight. So they'll be kicking with the right leg. I'm going to move my right leg back. So I always suggest with kicks, don't try and match them small limb, a big limb, right? So you want to think about kicks as a deflection. Don't think about straight on blocking. Not with arm to arm. That's different. So you're not going to match the size of the leg with a small arm. So what I want you to do is do a bit of an angled shift out. So if the my-gear is coming in, I'll do it this way so you can see. So the my-gear is coming in, set your block, and move on an angle. So the leg's going this direction. You want to move on an angle. Get them right, nice and strong, back leg flexed, and then counter through. And again with Kokomi, I want you to think about if it's a high Kokomi, you can do an outside block, no problem. But again, because the spin of the kick's coming this way, don't follow the spin. I want you to go opposite of the spin of the leg. So as the heel's coming through, you could do an outside block. But again, rotating your body. Move your body out of the track of the kick, especially Kokomi, and then counter. Or, for some people who are much more comfortable with this, top of the forearm sweep block and counter. One other one you can do, you can actually shift out your other leg. Set this way and get a bri, inside get a bri and counter. Now I've all done punches here for counters. There's many different ways you can counter. And what we do suggest when you're doing obviously tournaments, even in your gradings, we want you to try different types of counters that are effective. Don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Do it, it makes sense, it's effective, the distance is right, the kime is right, the timing's right. So some different counters you can use when they're coming in Jordan. So you can do your rising block, then from here, you've cleared the arm. There's a couple different elbow strikes you can use here. You can literally slide in, and you can slide in. You don't have to be stationary at this level. I don't mind if you do a little bit of a slide-in shift to make the distance, especially on kicks. But the key here is I want you to think about making sure that counter, because if you're doing an elbow, it's a shorter distance, right? So just for an example, just watch this. So rising block, here's a punch. Okay, so you can see the distance of the punch. Now, if I'm going to do a rising block, elbow strike, I'm short that forearm distance. How do I make the difference up? The key here is you're allowed in one step to actually shift in if you need to. So for the elbow strike, I would do the rising block. Now, because the arm is up here, clear body target, clear body target. Then you can slide in elbow strike. You can do a frontal elbow strike. You can also do from here, rising block, and you actually can change to the same arm, set your arm, and elbow strike into kibudai. Absolutely. There's no rule saying you have to stay in that stance. You can shift it. You can change the stance if you need to. Now, from the that is for an elbow strike. There's two different variations you can do. if you're really comfortable with it, you can actually do a rising block. Now, again, because our arm is up here, you can actually do a rising elbow strike to the chin. Okay? All right, so those 3 variations of elbow strikes you can work on. And try them. Find one that's comfortable for you, or 2. Now, for the 2-dan level, outside block defense, of course, you can actually do a bridge hand coming over top. You can also do, from the outside, setting, knife hand strike. You remember in Yon Dan? There it is, right here. Okay? So there's 2 open hand strikes you can do. You can actually also do, from here, you can go outside block, and then opposite hand, sweeping. Back fist straight to that though. Absolutely. Now, kicks are also allowed in counters, but you can only do 1 counter. So, for an example, if you're doing a rising block, you can do a front leg kick for a counter. Only 1 counter. You can't do combinations. Unless we're doing it as a drill. So then we can do drills, 1, 2, for practice. But I'm just saying for tournaments and gradings, only 1 counter. But if you're working with partners and trying to work some different drills, do a block, counter, counter, just for some practice. Okay? So we did elbow counters, we did open hand counters, we've done obviously the punch. Whether the punch is this way, it's still a punch. Now you can do nukates. You can do from the outside block. You could do spear hand, not to the face. We prefer you not to do spear hand faces. We don't allow in tournaments, but you can do it body level. All right? I've seen some students do this idea, so they'll do a block, then they'll shift around, and elbow strike. You can do it that way, a reverse elbow strike. Okay? Now, kicks. All those type of counters you can use. Get and bride. No kate. Right? Get and bride. Knife hand strike. No problem. Get and bride. Ridge hand. Okay? Get and bride. Slide in. Elbow strike. All those kind of variations. Comb coming in. So you can do the sweeping block. Sweeping block. Now their back is turned to you. Wide open. Ridge hand. Knife hand. You can do a front kick. You could do a roundhouse kick. Those kind of ideas. Absolutely. Kicks are a little trickier to handle and control for countering, but you can definitely use them. Front kick, side thrust kick, roundhouse kicks, no problem. So work those different types of combinations out. Get the speed and timing. The key element is speed and timing. So from the block to the counter. So it can't be 1, 2, 3, slow. Okay? So make sure you establish your stance. Lock strong and counter very quickly. Be accurate with your technique. Don't look away. Don't duck away. Don't look. Always focus on your partner. Block, counter, visualize. If you don't have a partner with, use a mirror. Absolutely. Those are the kind of things you can work on. One-step sparring, so it's jaw down attack. So if you're just working your attacks, strong, in, strong, mighty. You do it, come on, mighty. Kick right on target. In fact, what I was talking with the white to orange belt levels, here's the target. Kick through the target. Don't kick at the target. Punch or kick through the target. So you're actually aiming about a foot past. And then of course, Kokomi, make sure nice and strong, kicking with your heel, but right at your target. Always be on target. Don't come off. Don't throw your kicks off target. What other things can you do? You can do it from a standing point. You could both stand from this position, both facing each other, bow. And then from there, you can quickly just step in. This is another variation you can do. This actually creates a lot more quickness and timing. Both are standing in actually that position. So my attacker's coming in. They're going to come in with that right foot In those cases, you're very tight, you're very close together. Then you can move your opposite foot. Move your foot, if the right foot's coming in, I'm going to move my left foot back. And from that standpoint, it's very close and then tight. This creates much more quickness of reaction. When you're stepping through, there's a little more distance involved and gives you a little more time to get in body position. So the key here is to be very quick on your reactions. So work on these reactions. Work both sides. Don't always just attack one side. When you're training, as you get higher level, you should be able to be proficient both attacking right side and left side. If any of you have ever been in tournaments before, they do get you to switch your feet, right? So, especially if there's a tie in a match. So you have to be very proficient both sides. Be very careful. One of the key things to be careful of is cross blocking. This stuff. Higher level, I don't mind you doing that, but you better be careful with that kind of blocking, because sometimes when you're blocking opposite from the front side, it basically draws it right into you. So you got to be able to, if you're going to do a cross block, make sure it goes right across your body. Tap goes through. Then from there, you can do a back fist. It's not to say you can't do cross blocking. It's challenging at your level. I would kind of wait for that stuff until you're about brown belt level, and then we can work on some cross blocks. From that standpoint, work those drills. If you, like I said, if you got a family member, please work with them. Work it slow. Pick up the tempo. Be careful if you're in contact, especially with a person that is coming in to attack. You're blocking them, and then you're going to counter them. Don't just hit them. I mean, they're obviously trusting you, so there is a trust level in Kumite, even for this level. You've got to be able to be accurate. Make sure the counter is close, almost touching the gi. Don't be a foot away, because that's not an effective technique. So it's all about learning your distance and timing. One of the things we used to teach in the lower levels, when you're trying to figure out your distance, how do you do that? Well, let's say this pillar is my partner. So what you can do is just reach out to them like this. You can just barely touch them. I know, social distancing and all. But if you got a family member you're living with, I don't think that's a factor as much. So from here, as long as you can just reach out, touch them, then step back. Now watch. When I go through, it's past them. So which means they have to move away from the attack. That's a great way to figure out your distance for one step. So like I was mentioning, work your 3-step as a warm-up. Try different variations. Jodan, Jodan, Jodan. You can go Jodan, Chudan, Jodan. You can go Jodan, Chudan, Maigiri. Okay? So work those different variations as a warm-up. And then you can go Jodan, Chudan, Kokomi if you want. Or if you want to start with a kick, then a punch, then a Chudan punch. So different variations thereof. Big factor in your defense is always think about, don't think just arms. I want you to think about rotation, okay? And work both sides. Rotation. This is something you can work on your own without even arms yet. I want you to think about twisting your body. If you think about it, why do we turn our bodies? Partially to set up a counter, but it's also to create less target. Watch. There's a less of a target to hit. Has a dual purpose. Less target also creates rotation in my hip than for countering and rotation. Right? So those are different factors in Kumite. Distance, timing, body target, speed. Kine is a real key factor. As you're progressing to higher level, we want you to really focus your technique well. And we're going to start next week. We're going to work on syllabus for hopefully a grading in the very near future for you guys. When we get back on track with our life and training, we'll work on some syllabus training. So from that standpoint, thank you for joining us today. And we'll see you on Tuesday working on syllabus training. Awesome. That's it. Great. Thanks very much. Awesome.